I will talk about the plant health alert and external actions. And external actions here actually are the actions out of the farm. So let's just start by the plant health alert. This is a monitoring of psyllids by using the yellow stick traps. This is a partnership that we hold between citrus growers and Fundecitrus. This is hosted in the Fundecitrus website. Any provider can participate there. This is free. And all citrus growers must inspect their own farms. And if they may participate in this alert, that's much better because they will contribute with psyllids information. Well, the monitoring of psyllids consists in the monitoring of the adults by the yellow stick traps and also monitoring the sproutings. And Silvio has commented on that, the psyllids adults and the sproutings, and that's where the insect feeds from, and that's where they lay their eggs. So there is a close relationship between the psyllids and the sprouting. Well, the system of this health plant alert gives the citrus growers a map, and that allows them to identify the main capture points of psyllids in their own region. By the means a gradient of colors, they will identify the main capturing points. The system also makes available at every 15 days charts that will allow to identify the differences in the population of psyllids as well as the sprouting population in a specific region or a specific farm. So what are the main objectives of the plant health alert? First, to evaluate the migrating population of psyllids, those that go from the ill-managed areas to the good managed areas, also to identify what are the main entry points of these psyllids, to identify when that population starts growing in a region or in a farm, also to identify the times of greater population, the populational peaks, and also to do the regional control of psyllids. The plant health alert is one of the main tools for the regional management of psyllids. For growers to participate, they will need a trap at least at every 500 meters. We know this is not enough. We should have more traps in around 200 to 150 meters distance, weekly or bi-weekly reading, changing those traps at every 15 days at the most, and also growers should look for adult psyllids in these traps. These are the plant health alert. They are 11 regions in São Paulo, and each one of them will have a reference number of a city, such as Araraquara. For instance, there are 2 regions in Paraná State. We have a partnership with Cocamar. They also hold that plant health alert in 2 regions in Paraná. Today, the alert is monitoring around 260,000 hectares of citrus plants. We have 116 million trees. We have 27, almost 28,000 traps, and over 1,400 farms, and that covers most of the areas that grow oranges in the state of São Paulo. And some important information come from the plant health alert. The initial vegetative stage, the percentage of plants in V1, V2, and V3 stages. In 2016, 2017, you can see here on this chart. And in different years, the sprouting flow is different in citriculture. That varies depending on the climate, but in 2017 here, you can see that we had more sprouting than in 2016. And that this has happened especially in the second half of the year, which is the most favorable time of the year for psyllids. Also very important is that the beginning of sproutings start here in May and June. And that varies a little bit from one year to another, but usually in May and June we start having sprouting. Also important is that Sproutings in the second half of the year are more abundant than in the first half of the year. You can see that in the chart as well. And important once again, now talking about the psyllids, they have a similar behavior to sproutings. And so we see that in 2 different years, just like the sprouting 2016 and 17, also in the second half of the year we have more shoots than in the first half of the year. And in the different years, the population of psyllids is different, and that is because of sproutings. And the psyllid population usually have its peak in June and July, depending on the year. And here in August, 2016 in August here, for instance. So that is because of the sprouting cycle, and then we have that fluctuation on the psyllids population, and it's very clear that this population in the second half of the year is much higher than in the first half of the year, and that can be applied to all the years. Now, about shoots, and these 2 surveys or researches have been done by Silvio and João Lopes, and the initial stages of sprouting are more favorable to psyllid reproduction and bacteria transmission. And psyllid's flight, helped by the wind, usually happen in August, between August and October. So the second half of the year, that's where we have a higher population of psyllids, and that's a favorable time for those flights. So I think we should develop different controls in different areas, times of the year. Our health plant alerts meet that demand. So when we have that trend to have an increase in the psyllids population, or a trend of high sprouting and the crops, we issue the health plant alert. So it seems to be very cautious and prudent, so that we are more assertive in terms of insect control. Now I will talk a little bit about external actions. So the traps of the plant health alert are divided in different types of management. We have management A and B. A, when we have the psyllid control and plant eradication, and management B, we have psyllid management, but we don't have plant eradication. And so management C and D with no management, C are commercial no management farms, or either we have backyards, non-managed areas. And when we see the population of psyllids over 2017, it's clear that the low management farms or properties that we call C and D have many more psyllids than the ones in which we have the control. But when we we plot that into a column chart, you see that the difference is of 40 times more, in some years even more than that. In some regions it could get to 100, 200 times more psyllids capturing. So it's very clear where the psyllids come from. They come from the non-managed areas, as several other speakers already mentioned. And a farm that really carries out the monitoring and participates on the health plant alert, you can clearly see where are the main capturing points, and you can then use the traps for external actions, external to your farm. And all of that will be provided to participating growers by the health plant alert. These charts are available for growers that are participating in this alert, and they can see what are the main entry points of psyllids, and they can direct themselves to external actions. Well, several other speakers already have talked about how important these 10 commandments are. They are crucial in order to have a good HLB management. And I will talk a little bit about being partner of your neighbor. Fundecitrus is talking about a new concept of partnership between Fundecitrus and citrus growers. in order to improve that external control around the farms. This is extremely important to have good HIV control. And aiming the replacement of citrus and myrtles by other fruit trees, and also the eradication of ill-managed groves. There are regions where growers are gathering, and it's easy to get 80 to 90% of plants being eradicated or replaced by other fruit trees. And these results are interesting, and this is just negotiation. We do not have the support of the government. So all of that we are encouraging producers to do is basically to negotiate, to talk to their neighbors, and to get these external actions. So these external actions, we have dedicated ourselves to them starting September, and we did have interesting results in the reduction of the inoculants. We have eradicated over 216,000 plants in abandoned areas, 65,000 plants in backyards and small areas, and we visited over 2,000 properties. So this partnership between citrus growers and us is crucial. If you get 8 to 10 farms or properties, you probably will be able to eliminate most of the inoculants that are in the region. So now turning to the actions that we have taken, this is the area of Barudi, and we have identified small and large growers that really agreed in working with this reduction of inoculum, external inoculum. And it was a very productive result. 93% of ill plants have been eliminated. And so the process works like this. We map all the areas that have citrus plants as a source of inoculum. We determine a radius of action, and we start eradicating or replacing those plants around those properties. Actually, the negotiation is done taking into consideration the importance of the citriculture in the region. A lot of the people that are there, they do work in the surrounding farms, and that makes our job much easier. So it might look like this is difficult to be done, but it's possible. And this is a map of the state in this period of September of 2017 up to April of 2018. These are all the areas visited in the state of São Paulo in different regions. Now, here we have a success case of a farm here in the central region in Araraquara. That's close to Araraquara, actually, that was in a growing trend of the percentage of eradicated plants because of the HLB, and crops of 15, 16, 1.2%, from 16, 17, 1.68%, and in 2016 they decided first to work in a 3-kilometer radio and now a 5-kilometer radio to take extreme measures to really clean it out, to replace all the plants that were around the farm, and the result was very interesting. They were able to bring that down to 0.89 now in this crop that has closed in April 17-18. So this is promising. If you work very well around the property, we will have very good results. Obviously, that farm is following the 10 commandments rigorously, but the differential were really the external actions. Well, Fundecitrus developed an app that's called External Actions, and it manages all that work. It's possible to measure it all, the visits that you hold, the eradications where you send the eradicated plants, the spraying, the release of Tamarixia, what are the distances of the inoculum sources, also scheduling for other visits if some of the plants are not eradicated. This app is available. It will be available for growers starting July. They will be able to download it and to use it. in order to manage external actions. Well, my final comments. The largest psyllid populations happen especially in the second half of the year, starting July, August, and that's when you have to strengthen the psyllid control. A larger number of shootings in initial stages are more favorable to psyllids reproduction and bacterial transmission, and they happen in the same period. And external actions are crucial to reduce the main sources of psyllids and HLB, and they are the non-managed groves and backyards with citrus and plant myrtles. So thank you very much, our supplier that helps us for 4 years, and our sponsors are Syngenta, Bayer, FMC, and Coppert. Thank you very much.